Congressman Hanna announced his plans not to run, and we prayed about it as a family and decided we were making a race. We had a very short window between Christmas and New Year's to raise money, but the fundraising is always a show of support for a campaign. So we got on the phone, we sent emails out, and we're just overwhelmed by the generosity that's flowed in from family and friends and supporters. We were amazed to clear $100,000 in just a few days, and that's what we'll be reporting with the Federal Election Commission in a few days. We've filed our preliminary paperwork, so I am officially a candidate, and we'll be filing the actual fundraising totals. By law, we have to do it by January 31st, but we hope to be doing that much sooner. I'll be making a formal announcement for our candidacy next week, but I certainly wanted to open up to any questions now from the press corps.
Why? Why run?
Country needs good people. I said in my emails, if some of you saw them, that this campaign, I'm using the term we. It's not just about me, George Phillips, it's about our supporters, people encouraging me to run. We have a stagnant economy in upstate New York and in the country. We've got serious national security concerns, and we'll be laying out a platform on those issues and much more at a time that's a critical turning point for our country.
Is there a specific piece of legislation that you would want to work on right away?
I've worked the last few years for the Jack Kemp Foundation. He was the Buffalo Bill football star who helped pioneer the Reagan economic program. So we're going to be looking for an economic revitalization program that we'll be unveiling to help upstate New York, namely. We're in need. I worked in manufacturing in the old IBM plants 20 years ago. Friends were losing their jobs. My brother lost his job, moved out of the area. Unfortunately, we all have friends here in upstate New York who have lost their jobs and left, or have family that have left for better jobs. So we're facing it with the whole national economy, but we need dramatic change here in New York right now.
Anything specifically?
We'll be laying it out. Yeah, we've had some things we've worked on the last few years, and I do feel like I can make a difference representing this district in Congress if I'm selected by the voters. We've got a long road ahead of us for sure, but we wanted to get off to a good start, and I think the fundraising certainly helped us do that.
Talk to us about how long it's been since there's been a congressional representative from Broome County and what that means to you to kind of bring that back and give this area someone in a really great seat.
Sure. So there was Congressman Edwin Hall, and he left his seat in the 1950s. Since then, we've always been broken up in different districts. I competed in a district that went from Ithaca to Poughkeepsie. We nearly won, but Broome County was broken up in it. And we've had someone from other counties since that time. We did have Congressman Howard Robinson into the 1970s, and he was from Tioga County. So, we certainly know he was a southern tier person from this area. But Broome County specifically, we'd love to have someone there, but for the voters in the other counties, I'll be making the case that we're the best one to represent this area as well.
Talk just a little bit about, just how the district has been redrawn and, how it might mean more for people here in Broome County and especially in the southern tier to have someone in this district.
Sure. So we will certainly be fighting for every vote. We may not get every vote, but we hope to touch every heart with our platform that we'll be laying out. And it would be great to have someone from here. Overall, we'll be fighting for votes of Republicans, conservatives in this primary, independent-minded Republicans who are in the primary. We're then in a general election if we're fortunate enough to be the nominee, and we'll be fighting for votes for Democrats. The district we competed in against Maurice Hinchey had 43,000 more registered Democrats, and we almost won. This district has 30,000 more registered Republicans, so the Republican nominee has a great chance in this district, but again, I think voters are going to vote their hearts, and as I said, we're hoping to touch every heart with this campaign.
How was your experience in the last two elections going to help you into this third?
Sure, we've learned a lot. It's I think in almost every job there's a question of time. How do you use time? How do you use resources? We've developed a great network now. Locally, we've got a lot more supporters than we have. I think we're taking them into this race. I think the fundraising is the indication of that wow, we were able to pull together $100,000 in just a few days, and it's a real tribute to our supporters. So we're using the term we going forward. It's not George Phillips, it's all of our supporters from Binghamton and beyond.
You touched upon it briefly. Can you just discuss some of your political history and what wanted you to get started?
Yeah, political history. I was skeptical about politics and politicians like most of the public. I had some good college professors. I did an internship in Washington and ended up working for a few years as a congressional aide. I was there in the years after the 9/11 attacks, and I think that gives me some national security experience. I served for the vice chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. I served for the chairman of the Veterans Committee. So I had that experience, but I've been teaching here and I think it's a great position to be from in the community and get to know a lot of people from the community and their needs. We have all sorts of families that I've worked with and students at Seton Catholic Central and also Broome Community College. The last few years I've been working for the Jack Kemp Foundation, and that's really given me a lot of policy expertise in economic policy issues. Jack Kemp is one of my heroes. He mentored me. I was heartbroken when he died. I'm happy to be serving his son right now at the foundation, but I think we need those Jack Kemp type ideas to get this country going again, that optimism, that unleashing the American spirit here. Jack yelled at me. I remember him saying, "Stop penalizing entrepreneurship and hard work," and I knew he wasn't talking to me. I knew he meant it's the government that is. So we got to lift some of those barriers down and get upstate New York and this American economy going again.
Mr. Phillips, a couple of questions.
Yes.
One, we broke the news on the 29th
Yes.
that you had created the website roughly about December 22nd,
Right,
which made a public declaration
right,
through the Canadian website that you were running. And then you sent out an email roughly at the same time stating that you were publicly running.
Right.
A declaration of the run.
sure.
So the first question I would have to ask about that is, why did you create the website through the Canadian website, which would make it harder for people to know that you were actually running?
So I certainly have friends helping with the campaign, and I talked to a friend about the website and I looked at content, so I wasn't familiar with all that went into purchasing the URL, so I could get back to you on that.
Okay.
Certainly.
Do you know why the website does not list any of your policy positions?
Sure. I talk in general about it, about having a Jack Kemp style enterprise policy for upstate New York, and also about peace through strength. We need that more than ever. So we have plenty of time to lay out policy proposals
Okay.
going forward, and we certainly will.
Okay. Speaking about the policy positions, Representative Richard Hanna, in your run in 2010, you had very specific positions that you were looking
Sure.
to take
Yeah.
on. Since that time, Representative Hanna has come out and voted against many of the issues that you stood for in 2010.
Right.
You've made no public statements for 6 years. Do you stand by the positions of Representative Hanna?
Sure. So I'll just say one thing. I have a policy from my school as a Catholic school teacher that I've been given freedom to get involved in political issues that I want to work on to do my work for the foundation, but I've been asked not to publicly comment on other political figures myself, being from the Catholic school position. So I have permission, I have clearance from my school to run, but I'm under the jurisdiction not to get involved in campaigns. So I'm not going to comment on any of the other candidates at this point. We look forward to a spirited race and a debate on all the issues. If you remember in 2010, my slogan was that we've had enough of the mess in Washington. We still had enough of the mess in Washington. We still think spending is out of control. We still think that we have a lot of problems in New York State, but the federal government is pouring it on here in terms of hurting our opportunities to grow. So we'll have a full opportunity for a debate on the issues. We expect to have a lot of candidates in this primary. I hope to debate candidates. I know a Democrat in Utica has declared already, and a Republican, and we expect other candidates to come in. So we expect a full debate on the issues, and I'm just going to withhold comment on other candidates right now, but just in general, Washington's broken.
Okay.
So you will retain your position with Seton while you run,
Yes.
and so will that then preclude you from commenting on any of the candidates during the course?
No, I mean I'm in a race now, but basically the policy was, look, you're a Catholic school teacher, you're not in politics at this point. They didn't want me commenting on other politicians giving out endorsements and the
Until
like. Now that I'm a candidate myself, sure, I'm fully in, so we'll be engaged in the issues with the candidates in this race, and certainly we'll be commenting on the national candidates and their platforms, because whoever is elected from this seat is going to have to work with the next president and the next Congress, and so it's going to be an exciting year, I think, for our community and our country. We're going to have a lot of races up here across the board, and we're going to be honored to be in the mix here and be under consideration for the voters.
Do you have a time frame when you're going to be presenting some of your policy positions?
Yeah, we are certainly going to be coming forward next week. We're looking at doing our official announcement, so we'll probably have a little more then, and then we want to focus on one issue at a time. So if I'm focusing on national security, we'll say, look, this is what I want to say if I'm in Congress. This is what I want to work to do to defeat ISIS and to keep this country safe and to keep our borders safe. on the economic policy. I'm alluding to it a little bit. I've worked for years now on the policy table on some of these economic policies. So we're going to have some powerful proposals going forward that I've worked with economists and others, and it's we're going to have a strong platform coming forward for sure.
The one declared Republican, Claudia Tenney, seemed to stake out really of the Republicans, the real conservative side when she ran against Hannah. Are those the kind of voters you're going for as well? Are you focusing more on the moderate Republicans?
Sure.
How would you kind of...
I'm fighting for every vote. I'm an American history teacher who teaches the Constitution. I've definitely laid out conservative policies in the past here, but I think we've done them in such a way, a Jack Kemp style way, that can try to touch every heart. We're going to win on ideas as a party, as a Republican Party, as a nation. We're going to win on ideas, and we've got to show that we can lay out the best ideas for our country. So if you want the voters to choose the Republican side or me, George Phillips, as a candidate, we've got to show that we have better ideas. So we're going to be laying out ideas. There's certainly going to be conservative reform ideas that I think will appeal to conservatives and hopefully all voters.
You said peace through strength. Do you advocate more troops on the ground in Syria?
We'll be giving some specifics about this, but I think by any measure, our fight against them has been very lackluster. And my comment right now would be the following. We have these horrific attacks in Paris. France is asking us for sites to hit of ISIS. Why had we not hit those sites before? So that's just basic. I know there's that debate back and forth. We can't do it alone with air power, but if you do a comparison to what President Clinton was doing in the 90s with Kosovo, we had a lot more missions and sorties going. So I just, again, we'll be coming out with something clearer here, but that's deeply concerning for me in terms of our lackluster effort, in my opinion, to defeat ISIS at this point. This needs to be the cause of our time here, and we're certainly not rising, this administration's not rising to the occasion on it.
Since you last ran, the district lines have been redrawn. How much do you think that will work in your favor, the way they've been redrawn?
Sure. Broome County was our base, and when we ran against Congressman Hishy, we were fortunate to have 57% in the southern tier. We didn't have northern Broome, which are Republican strongholds. We didn't have Shenango County, which really sits to Broome, 88, those towns. I think a lot of people in Shenango County shop down here, and this is really their community. So we think this bodes very well for us. We look forward to making it up to Utica and the Syracuse suburbs and introducing ourselves to people up there as well and making the case.